I want to give you what the definition of hope is according to the dictionary, because I want to find out, we're going to find out which definition this word in Hebrews 6:19 is. The first definition is to cherish a desire with anticipation, like I hope for a promotion, or I hope for a raise, or I hope I feel better, or I hope something happens. And really what this is kind of cherish a desire with anticipation. It's basically wishful thinking. That's one level. Then there's, the next one is there's a trust. I'm trusting. But then you go on to the next one. It says to desire with expectation of obtainment. Now this is a different level. There's wishful thinking. That's one level. But the next level of hope means, well, I've got an expectation of attainment. It's another. It's not wishful thinking anymore. It's an expectation. I expect that this is going to work out. But then there's a third level, and the third level is to expect with confident trust. It's confident. There's a confident trust. And what we're trying to discover is what is this, the word hope that is used in Hebrews 6:19. Is it wishful thinking? Is it a desired expectation? Or is it a confident trust? Well, according to the writer in Hebrews, it sounds like it's a confident trust. But look at this in verse 18. He says this, so that by two unchangeable things, okay, his promise and his oath. This is talking about God's promise and his oath, in which it is impossible for God to lie. We who have fled to him for refuge. Okay, now this is talking to us who believe in Jesus and anchored in Jesus, and we can fled to him. And there's something different. And I don't know how people live life without having Jesus as an anchor. I really don't. In fact, this week, as I watched some of the events from Humboldt and different things, I saw an interview with the head coach's wife. The head coach, his name is Darcy, and his wife. Now, Darcy was a strong believer and preached Jesus to the players and to his kids, and his wife was also a believer. But I saw this interview, and as I watched her in this interview, this is a wife, a young wife who suddenly lost her husband, lost the father to her 12-year-old and 9-year-old boys, and you look at this and going, this would be devastating. This is devastating. Yet in the interview, this is what I saw. I saw someone who fled to Jesus for refuge. Okay, because this is what I saw in her, would have a strong encouragement and indwelling strength. And what I saw in her in the interview is this indwelling strength that is not natural. It's not natural for someone who has gone through something like this to have this indwelling strength. In the interview, she talked about her husband. She talked about all that made him good. But there was a confidence and a strength in her that is not natural. It's not humanly natural to have this. Because she had something that she was holding tightly to, the hope set before us. And those of us who have a relationship with Jesus, we can flee to him under these pressures and have a strong encouragement from him and an indwelling strength in the midst of all these storms and chaos. And the writer of Hebrews, he's writing to a church that is being tormented, persecuted, imprisoned, many of them being killed and martyred. And he's writing to them and he says, where do I turn to my hope? Where do I flee to? What do I flee to? And he says, in the midst of all this, you can trust God, is what he's saying. You can trust God. You can flee to him. And in that, there's going to be an indwelling strength. Something that comes not from the outside, not from outside hope, not from outside courage, but something that comes from within that gives you a strength that you can hold tightly to. A hope set before. And then he says, this hope. This is a confident assurance. This is not wishful thinking. This is not a desired expectation. This is a confident trust. That is an anchor for my soul that cannot slip, cannot break down, no matter the pressure put upon it. A safe, now watch this. This is how he defines it. A safe and steadfast hope that enters within the veil of the heavenly temple, that most holy place in the very presence of God dwells in. And when he says this, listen, these last two sentences, this is Bible talk. But let me explain what this is. This is what he's defining. This is the definition of the hope that he's talking about. What he's talking about a hope that is safe. That's what he says. Steadfast. What does that mean? It's safe. It means I can trust God. It's safe because I have a God who cannot lie. It's safe. It's steadfast. That means it's steadfast. It's going to hold no matter what weight is put on it, no matter what pressure, it's going to hold. But then he says within the veil and you go through all this kind of stuff. And what is he talking about? He's talking about, and we see this in verse 20. he's talking about where Jesus has entered in advance as a forerunner for us. What's he talking about? He's talking about a hope set before us that is safe, is steadfast, and because Jesus went before, it's set. Okay, because Jesus went before. So we have a hope that is safe. Okay, we can trust God because he's a God who cannot lie. It's safe. It's not wishful thinking. It's not a desired expectation. It's a confident trust. It's safe. It's steadfast, meaning it will hold. It will stand fast no matter the pressure. But it is also set. What does that mean? Your salvation is safe. It's steadfast. It's set. Okay, what is that? I know what for many of us when we're first new believers, and many of us who are even veterans in the faith, we have this prevailing thought that comes and going, I wonder if God is really real. I wonder if everything I believe is really true. And you just get this thing, I'm going, every once in a while, it's like you get this doubt and going, is this really true? Is this really work? Is God really there? Is this for real? Or is this just another made up thing? And for me, when I grew up in the church and I got to the place in my later teens where I determined, I said, I don't want to believe this because my parents do, or my parents told me to, or my parents took me to church. I don't want to have their faith. I need to have my own. I need to know that I know. And I wanted to find something. I wanted to find something that I could anchor in and saying, I need to know that this is true because is this wishful thinking, or is this a desired expectation where I sure hope this is true? Or is this steadfast, safe, set? And if it's set, how do I set it? How do I know? Because I like safe. Safe is good. Steadfast is good, but it needs to be set. And how does it get set? Well, Paul tells us in 1 Corinthians 15 how it's set. He says this, and if Christ has not been raised from the dead, your faith is futile. Okay? You are still in your sins. Now, this is what it is. Okay? If the resurrection of Jesus, if Jesus has not been raised from the dead, all of this is a waste of time. All of my entire life and believing in Jesus is a waste of time. It's a waste of time without the resurrection of Jesus. And this is how Paul's saying, this is what set our hope, this anchor in Hebrews 6. What set it is the one event. And that one event is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Now, I encourage you all to if you are in faith or with your exploring faith, I encourage each one of you to explore and look for the resurrection and prove to yourself beyond a shadow of a doubt that the resurrection of Jesus Christ happened or didn't happen. And I had to do this. This is how I set my own faith. As I was like, I got to study this out. And I didn't want to just take the Bible. So I study and I'm an analytical and I read and all the rest of it. And I question everything. And so I started questioning everything. And I started studying history books and I started studying different things aside from the Bible because I wanted to know, is it just the Bible that says this? Because if one person said it, I don't know if I believe that. And after doing extensive research and studying and reading all these different things, what I discovered was that I found more proof for the resurrection of Jesus Christ than I could find proof that Julius Caesar ever lived, or proof that a lot of these events in history actually happened, or proof that more proof than most of the court cases that you see or read about on TV, that the evidence that comes in. I found more evidence for the resurrection than any other historical event ever. And in my own mind, I was like, it set something in me. I was like, this is the foundation. And what Paul says, he says the resurrection of Jesus Christ is the foundation, is what sets everything in place. It what locks it in. And here's the truth. You don't have to believe all of the Bible. You don't even have to understand all of the Bible. You don't even have to agree with all of the Bible. What you need to know and believe in and to have a relationship and to have that hope set is you need to believe that Jesus rose again from the dead.